Good evening, and you're very welcome to IT Sligo Open Evening. I hope you're enjoying our event so far. My name is Jacqueline, and in this panel talk, we are going to discuss our joint major art degrees within the Department of Social Sciences. So with that, I am delighted to introduce our panel today. So starting off, we're going to cover our Sociology and Politics course. We have graduate Seamus Bannon joining us today, who's going to share his experience of studying this course. Seamus is streaming in all the way from the USA. So Seamus, you're very welcome today.
Good evening, everyone, from lovely cold Michigan over here in America.
Fabulous. We'll then move on and speak about our English and Psychology course. I'm delighted we have Head of Faculty of Business and Social Sciences, Breda McTaggart. As always, Breda, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on our panel. So thank you for your time.
Good evening, everybody. Looking forward to talking to you.
And lastly, we will discuss our new arts degree, Law and Business. And we have lecturer Ruth Walsh who's joining us today. So thank you, Ruth, for your time.
Good evening, everybody.
If anyone would like to ask any questions during our event today, you can do so by typing them into the live Q&A section on this event page. If you have any questions after our event, you can visit our CAO hub on itsligo.ie/CAO, and we have a live function there that you can ask us any questions anytime. So Seamus, we'll start off with yourself. So Sociology and Politics graduate from this course. So can you give us a general overview of this course and what did you enjoy most about it?
It was a wonderful few years, let's put it that way, the degree, and it was structured in such a way where there was plenty of encouragement for class participation. My favorite parts of the course, there was a lot of great subjects, but my favorite parts were the way that some of the classes were structured. There was things called simulations. And what this was you would act as an actor on the world stage, a political actor on the world stage, and you would discuss a topic that's relevant to the times. Back then, I think it was migration was a big thing, and we used to discuss that in our classes. So you would represent somebody on the world stage, and so you'd take on their role, and then you would sit down, you would have a debate, you would have a discussion around the table. And I really like that learning style, because it forced you sometimes to take on maybe opinions that weren't your own, right? So are ones that you maybe not held as your own, so you were forced to do that. So I really enjoyed that. The lectures themselves, I've been saying this, Dr. McTaggart will know that I've been saying this for many years since I've finished, is that the lectures are wonderful. They're knowledgeable, they're approachable, they really, again, encourage you to discuss all the topics and not just take what they're saying for granted. Bear in mind, you definitely have to bring something to the table with research, right? You can't just bring up anything. But it was a wonderful overall experience.
Very good. I can hear, and I've heard you speak in the past, that you seem to have just learned so many critical skills. So you're always encouraged to debate. You always had the opportunity to have your own voice. And these are skills that students learn from year one, and our lectures create that environment for our students to grow. So I'd imagine you fairly get to know your lecturers and your classmates.
Well, you do, and I think I probably was in a better position because I was going back as a so-called mature student, right, age-wise, anyways. But I was returning to education, so I had some life experiences, and I know that for some students coming off of Leaving Cert, it's completely different, because in Leaving Cert it's almost regurgitation, right? As good as the Leaving Cert program can be, it definitely has its negatives, and one of those things is you're just regurgitating material. But when you step into college, the lecturers are trying to encourage you from day one. Okay, don't just take what we're saying. Don't repeat back to us what we're saying. Go away, think about it, study it, go to the library, spend some time there, and come back and bring something to the table and discuss. So it's definitely a bit more unnerving. I can understand why some students would be nervous about it initially, but you definitely start to learn not just about your classmates and your lecturers, but about yourself. And that for me was a big thing. Even as a mature student, I learned new skills that I never thought I did have. And, again, as a mature student, I was able to encourage some of the younger cohort in my class to keep going, you just learn a lot about yourself. Let's just put it that way.
Brilliant. Tell us about your work placement, Seamus. You went to the European Parliament in Brussels. Right. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, so year two, one of the one of the programs that says that you could do work placement, all right? So it's a short period of time. So I was thinking about this from year one because I was excited about the potential of going somewhere. And I think the lecturers at the time might have just expected you to stay local to Sligo, maybe work for a non-profit or with a local politician. I just thought, this is the only opportunity I may ever get to see where I could go with this, because I'm going to go into the workforce afterwards. Anyways, long story short, I just sent an email out to the office of then MEP Marion Harkin to say, would there be an opportunity for me to do work placement as one of my classes is doing so? And she got back to me and said, would you like to come out to Brussels? And I thought, yeah. So went out to Brussels, European Parliament, had a great time there, learned, again, a lot of more skills in the center of politics in Europe. It was just a wonderful experience, and I'm really grateful to now TD Marion Harkin for the opportunity that she gave me to do that.
Yeah, what fantastic experience. Well done, Seamus. And tell us about your current role over in the US and what does it involve?
Right, so I moved to the US actually at the tail end of graduating during, post-COVID time, or during COVID time, I should say. Graduating, I ended up handing in my dissertation, and then we had just moved to the US. So since August, I've been working with the city of Flint. And initially I was working with the police department, and I was program director for their sexual assault kit initiative, which is it's called SAKI. It's a government-funded, grant-funded initiative to challenge and to investigate missing and uninvestigated sexual assault kits, which are called rape kits. So some of these kits have been sitting on shelves for 30 plus years, 20 plus years, and the team is investigating these cold cases. So I was directing the program, so I was making sure that everyone was staying within the guidelines of the budget, in the guidelines of the grant. And I did such a, let's say, good job that the mayor decided that he would like to promote me. So now I'm working directly for the mayor's office. So now I'm working with a bunch of grants. So the previous grant was a $1.5 million grant, and now I'm working on grants up to about $10 million. So I'm coordinating these grants.
Okay, very good. Sounds fantastic. And finally, Seamus, so for any student who might be considering applying for this course, what advice would you give them?
I would say, look, honestly, I had an interest in politics initially, but not as much as I do now. So some people, they may see this course, they may see the points that you need to get on this course, and might think, quote unquote, that it's an easy opportunity to get to college, But I would just say that think about it. Politics and sociology is everywhere we look, and that's what you learn from day one. It's everywhere we look. I would say it's a great opportunity for future career paths. Like, look where I am. I didn't think I would be where I am right now when I just started that course. It's a great opportunity to learn about yourself, to learn about society, to learn about what's going on in the world, and to apply that into your daily life, not just in assignments or exams, etc. So think about it, jump in, get involved, and that was the big thing. Get involved. Take the opportunity. You may never have this opportunity again. 3 years to learn, to study, to be in a library setting. You may never get this opportunity again. So make the most of it is all I can say, and just go for it. You're going to have a great time. There's so much I can say about the lectures are wonderful. Everything is wonderful about Sligo IT and what's going on there. So yeah, now is the time. Get involved. Go for it.
Fantastic insights there, Seamus. Thank you so much for your time today. Breda, we'll now move on to yourself. So English and psychology. So Breda, can you tell us, why does the subjects English and psychology work so well together in this joint major degree?
People would assume that they're very, very different, but English obviously covers poetry, prose, and literature and drama. And psychology is obviously how we think, how we behave. And a lot of the literature, interestingly, would have some background in behavior and why people do things, if you've got to look at modern literature, contemporary literature. So they're very interactive, so you can actually bridge both of them. So sometimes your lecturers might mention, well, you're covering that text, but actually, how you've covered that theorist, and those two would have similar perspectives. The reason they work so well, it's like strawberries and cream. They're different, but they're complementary. So they're really, the students, it takes a student to think an awful lot, which both disciplines require, but interrogate an awful lot, which both disciplines require. And as Seamus say, question everything, which both disciplines require. So even though people start off with maybe a certain interest in, I was interested in psychology and I like the thought of English, and you find that an awful lot. Well, I really liked English at school, but I've often wondered how people think and people behave, and you find people consider it like that. But when they come in, I really want to do psychology, but actually to come out of it and said, oh, I really like English, it's because they both of them challenge you to think particular ways, but also recognize why you think particular ways. It would be one of the most common and successful ones, particularly in the United Kingdom system, which would have these joint majors, but not so much in Ireland. People don't join them together. We just had the foresight to join them together, and it's worked out really well for students. Very similar to sociology and politics. You mightn't necessarily think they have much in common, but they have an awful lot in common when you get in. But a lot of it is about the literature and the drama and the experiences and the whys. It's like going back to the 2-year-old self. Why, and that's what both require you to do and push you to do.
Fabulous. And what kind of modules do students study when they undertake English and psychology?
So it is actually split right down the middle. So half your time is spent studying English and half your time is spent studying psychology. And you, in your first year of this program, you do these foundation level learns. So it gets you up to, literature, poetry, prose. It also looks at cultural aspects of literature. And then in psychology, you look at introduction to psychology in its general form, your brain, your cognitive psychology. And then it talks about your lifespan psychology, your childhood, your adolescent, your adulthood. And as you go through each year of the program, it's built on, and we add in new and different things each year. So second year, you'll do social psychology, because it's a good one to do after you've got this really strong foundation in psychology and what it means. And you'll do some more in second year, you'll do some more drama type, and process drama is what it's called, which is really a thing that is encouraged in schools as well. So it builds on it, and each year, and then your final year on it, you get to choose you have to choose one of your disciplines at the end, which thesis you'd like to do. Is it on the English discipline or on the psychology? But each year you build on it. So they're split down the middle deliberately. But the teams work very, very closely together. We are a department with a large number of students, but the teams know each other really, really well. So they do cross-collaborate and cross-converse and hold their program boards together. So we know the students know what they're doing, how they're doing in each discipline, and how they're doing overall, because that's really, really important to us in IT Sligo.
Great. And can you tell us a little bit about the teaching methods embedded in the course, Breda? I know there's a lot of role plays and class discussions.
A lot of, interesting and innovative ways to deliver it. We do have some what people would consider your teaching, which is the lecture style, but most of it, because we have kept these programs at a particular size to allow integrative learning, so there'll be a lot of role play. There will be, debate, case studies, psychology. There'll be a lot of interrogation of previous lab type testing, or the Stanford experiment. You'll be asked about that, which is a very difficult one, or many different things. So you'll be asked to take the theory, but interrogate how it's relevant to careers that you want to go in, and how it's relevant to life that you're leading at the moment. There's also, field trips. There is fun with a purpose. I would always say fun with a purpose. We make you do stuff that you think, why am I doing that? Because it's to make you think a particular thing through to the end. You do a lot of drama as well, and how to work with other people through drama, how important drama is, how important contemporary theatre is, all of those things. So, if you won't be sitting in front of a lecturer listening to them talk all the time. It is, as Seamus described, these are deliberately built to encourage your participation, and you bring as much to the table. We start you off slow. We don't ask you to bring it to the table day one, but by the end of the first semester, you have plenty to say about plenty of things, and you bring this all, and you interrogate, and you consider, and you debate, and you reflect on these two disciplines, and where they came from, and why the literature is the way they are, and why the psychology lecturers back in the last century taught things in particular ways. So we don't have one standard format. We have many good formats.
And students are learning such critical skills there. And it's so good to get that foundation in your college years, and you'll carry them through your career for the rest of your life. So it's absolutely fantastic. You have such practical skills also. And Breda, lastly, what are the postgrad opportunities available to students who want to go on a further study?
So there's two very distinct paths. So the Teaching Council, if you wanted to be a second level teacher in Ireland to teach English, let's say you want to become an English teacher, the subjects covered in this program meet the requirements to apply for the Professional Masters of Education. So we have considered the Teaching Council requirements in that. So our students, some of them do wish to progress to be post-primary teachers. Some of them will want to do primary school, but most of them will want to do post-primary English. If you want to do psychology, because it's a joint major and it has a strong psychology strand in it, half of the degree, you can apply to do a master's conversion course to get what they call accredited psychology award under what is now the PSI. And anybody who does psychology will know what these terms mean. So it will allow you to that. And that master's program will be a year to 18 months. Now, we are currently working on the development of our own conversion course, but at the moment, there are several places, and our students have gone to several places in the country who have progressed to that. But then there is, interestingly, students that went on to midwifery in Scotland as well, which is not natural because there was such a strong literacy focus, but also psychology component. They were accepted to do a master's in midwifery in Scotland. And we've got, most of our students have gone into the world of work because the skills of a joint majors in two different disciplines that look things from two different perspectives are of value to not just community development, but they're in value to organisations such as communication organisations. So we're very fortunate those who've chosen to go on to postgrads have been successful, and those who've chosen to go on to work have got into workforces, and we're thrilled for them.
That's fantastic, Breda. Thank you so much for that great insight today. So thank you. I'll now move on to Ruth Walsh. So let's discuss our new arts degree, Law and Business. So this is a level 8 3-year arts degree. So Ruth, can you give us an overview of this course and what type of modules are students studying?
Hi, Jacqueline. Yes, so as you said, it's a 3-year level 8 program, and we have our first intake just in September of 2021. And so our students have just completed the first semester, and we're delighted to have students studying law and business here on campus. The type of, as Breda kind of said, they will study both disciplines in equal measure. So they will study the traditional law subjects, such as the Irish legal system, constitutional law, contract law, company law, contract law. So the kinds of traditional law subjects, but then they will also look at some of the emerging fields of study, areas such as compliance and regulation and data protection and privacy. And we see on the news all of the time, in recent years, the discussion in relation to data protection breaches, and so many of the large tech companies, such as Google and Twitter and Instagram, have been on the news in relation to data protection breaches. So that is one of the kind of emerging fields of study. And also we can see even employers at the minute, looking for guidance in relation to how to deal with their employee vaccination data. So these are kind of emerging areas and growth areas, and an area where we feel there's a high demand. And so we've included modules in relation to these topics within the kind of the law pillar. The students, the same as Seamus said, they will also, develop their critical skills in relation to communication skills, in relation to academic writing, legal research, interviewing skills, negotiation skills. So these are all skills that are transferable and are necessary for any graduate, no matter what employment fields they go into. The second pillar then obviously is the business pillar, and again the students will study the traditional business subjects of marketing, finance, management, organizational behavior. But then also they will look at, again, kind of more emerging areas, information communication technology, data analytics, web and social media analytics, where they will learn to analyze the information that can be found on social media websites, and to use that to the benefit of their business. So they are the two main pillars, which are the two main disciplines which the students will study.
Absolutely fantastic. So broad, covering so much business modules and law modules. So there's so much job opportunities for graduates when they graduate. And Ruth, for students who want to go on and further study, what would be their postgrad options once they finish this 3-year level 8?
So if they want to go on to further studies, if they wanted to, for example, go on to study to be a solicitor, to a barrister, then they could progress their studies further. This course will give them the foundation and cover the core modules that they will need for their further studies. They could also apply, because it's a level 8 program, then they could apply to do any level 9 or level 10 program in the IT sector or in the university sector. Or if they're interested in teaching, then they can go on to do their Masters in Education, if that was the path they wish to take.
Fabulous. And I think for any student who wants to go on and further study on any of our arts degrees, the fact that they're all 3-year arts degrees, it does give you that little bit of a head start. You completed level 8 in 3 years, which is absolutely fantastic. Well, that brings us to the end of our panel discussion today. So thank you so much to our 3 panelists. I really appreciate your time. If anybody has any questions, we are live until 9 p.m. tonight. So pop your question into the Q&A section on our event page, and one of our academic staff will answer your questions. If you have any question after this event, please come on to our CAO hub at itsligo.ie/CAO, or come on to our social media channels and you can talk to us there. So thank you very much to everybody, and take care and goodbye.